Greetings, Blue Hats! Once again, thank you so much for your love and support for the past few months, and for doing your part to make this fandom grow. You guys always find new and innovative ways to humble me. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about them. Yes, this is the most requested Creating Killjoy video thus far. So let's bring on the bad guys. Vile Villains. While Obscure City has a human mayor who serves as the face of the city, in reality, it is actually run by a consortium of creatures, or as they are collectively known, the Court of Darkness, an alliance of night dwellers made up of the most powerful criminals in the underworld. So let's start exploring these diabolical delinquents with Gillian de Longcray. Classification: Sea Beast. Weakness: Fire. Gillian is the head of the Nefarium Nautica, which is in charge of all the illegal sea trade in the world, which of course includes the coast of Obscure City, also known as Cadaver Cove. While he is regal and intelligent, it is not beneath him to use his superhuman strength to intimidate and subdue his enemies. And if all else fails, he can always just suck out and consume all the moisture in your body, leaving you as a dried up husk. And like all sea beasts, he can also secrete a black corrosive substance called onyx ink, which will either kill you or forcefully turn you into one of them. So if you want to be safe, you might want to stay out of the waters of Obscure City. The Marvelous Shard. Classification: Demon. Weakness: weapons doused in the blood of the innocent. While most of the members of the Court of Darkness deal in the illegal, all of Shard's demonic dealings, while questionable, are 100% legal, cause demons are masters of legally binding deals and contracts, or as they so aptly call them, Faustian deals. If a human signs a Faustian deal in their blood, a demon will give them whatever they desire, and in return, the demon can claim their heart, their literal heart, as that is what demons eat, and the greedier the heart, the better it tastes. And while it might be illegal for other night dwellers to consume humans, the consensual consumption of human hearts for demons is 100% acceptable thanks to their binding contracts. So when dealing with Shard and the demonic delegation, be careful what you sign. Luxonatet. Classification: Ever Living. Weakness: decapitation via weapon forged out of gold. Fun fact, because the Ever-Living are vulnerable to gold, they hoard it. In fact, most of the gold on the planet is fake, as the Ever-Living possess a good 90% of the world's supply of gold, because they believe that if they have it, their enemies won't. Luxana and the Imperium Aeternum control all the mystical drug trade, especially the production and distribution of Auru, a hallucinogenic so powerful that it will make your greatest fantasies feel like a reality, giving you the euphoric sensation of being in heaven. And while they accept human currency in exchange for these party favors, they also accept bones, because that is what the Ever-Living consume, or more specifically, the calcium on said bones, as their decaying bodies can't actually produce it. In fact, the myth of the Tooth Fairy actually started as the practice of the Ever-Living subjects leaving tribute for their masters. So fear and respect the Ever-Living, to the marrow of your bones. Professor Jack Pretorius. Classification: Reanimated. Weakness: blunt force trauma to the brain. So what is the difference between the Ever-Living and the Reanimated? The Ever-Living are brought back to life via magic, all the while the Reanimated are brought back to life via science, a devious art created by humans but adopted and perfected by night dwellers. As far as the professor's crimes go, he strictly deals in illegal surgeries and radical operations, so if you need a body part replaced, he's got a few spares. Unlike other night dwellers that consume the parts of other living beings to survive, the Reanimated eat brains not just for nourishment, but also to maintain their sanity. If they don't consume brains on a regular basis, they lose their consciousness and become literally mindless zombies. And the fact of the matter is that it doesn't have to be human brains. Any brains will do. However, it is rumored that the human brains do taste better. Canis Vale. Classification: Werewolf. Weakness: Silver, the Lycan leader of the Lupine Legions, who are basically the barbarians of the underworld, often relying on intimidation and brute strength. And for this reason, racketeering is their game, which is why werewolves are frightfully territorial and will attack anyone that stumbles into their turf, especially cats. And while naturally born werewolves can change at will, humans that are turned have no control of their transformations, and just like the myth, will succumb to the curse under a full moon. And if left unchecked and uncured, naturally born werewolves will keep them as pets. Minerva Madrigal. Classification: Witch. Weakness: Iron. Minerva's operation strictly deals with illegal acquisitions. If it's difficult to get, be it magical weapons, forbidden artifacts, or cursed literature, Minerva and the Coven Collective can get it for you and deliver it for the right price. Like all Night Dwellers, witches have a connection to the magical field that surrounds the planet, the Arcane Web. But unlike the other Night Dwellers, their connection is natural and more potent, giving them absolute control and use of mystical fields. So be especially careful when dealing with a witch, as any movement or any word could lead to a spell that could lead to your doom. And while witches can survive by eating insects and other small scavengers, they also really like to feed off of a human's natural electromagnetic field, or as they like to refer to it, their aura, which gives them a boost of energy and an incredible euphoric high. Damien Callis. Classification: Vampire. Weakness: sunlight and a wooden stake to the heart or brain. The elite of the underworld, and due to their ability to blend in with humans and manipulate them via pheromones, vampires have their evil little claws in almost every type of illegal enterprise on the planet, including hospitals and pharmaceuticals, which is how they discreetly acquire the blood that they need to survive. Callus is the least discreet of the Court of Darkness, often operating out in the open with little to no fear of being reprimanded or punished in any way, as he is so rich and so powerful that no authority can touch him. Preston Light, aka Lupin Shadows. Classification: Slasher. Weakness: unknown. He is the de facto leader of the Slasher clan. Slashers are a small underclass of Night Dwellers that are generally shunned and discriminated against by the rest of the underworld. They are seen as an impure perversion of both human and Night Dwellers, as Slashers start out as humans with tainted souls, meaning that they were already evil before the change, like serial killers, rapists, and other such psychopaths, who were then turned into Night Dwellers by accident or curse. So instead of taking one of your more traditional Night Dweller forms, they became green-skinned disfigured monstrosities with a penchant for edge weapons. And their leader, Lupin Shadows, is a literal wolf in sheep's clothing, as he also operates during the day in his human identity of Preston Light, making him the one being in the obscure universe who operates in both worlds. Because since he is not considered human nor Night Dweller, it makes him immune to all laws and regulations, making him one of the most dangerous beings in both the underworld and overworld, one seemingly responsible for many unsolved crimes, including the disappearance of Madeline Chan's father, a crime whose only witness might just be the city's mysterious protector, the Swordsman. So if Killjoy and Mad want to stop Shadows and solve this mystery, they must search for the Swordsman. And now for some fan questions. The first one comes from Austin Shank. Which villains did you think of first when creating the series? That would be the Court of Darkness. I came up with them way back in the 90s for a script that I wrote called The Night Guard. Austin also asks, what's the lifespan of the different species in general? A Night Dweller can live up to 2,000 years. Humans that have been turned into Night Dwellers can live up to 500 years. John Enrique Lyde asks, which villain had the most edits done from conception to final product? That would be Lupin Shadows. He was originally the nemesis of another character that I am yet to introduce in the series, and initially, he was a man that was half demon. John also asks, any antagonist that didn't make the cut? Yes. Killjoy's arch-nemesis was supposed to make an appearance, but I cut that character out for the sake of pacing. Hopefully you get to meet that character at the end of the second book. Bitter the Troll asks, any of them green? Yes. And last but not least, James Ferrazzi asks, while knowing that many of the villains are based on classic Universal monster movies, which characters or actors did you base the villains on? Lupin Shadows was inspired by Freddy Krueger, but his demeanor is based on Jake Busey. Damien Callis was inspired by Antonio Banderas as Armand from Interview with the Vampire. Minerva Madrigal was inspired by Tilda Swinton. When I write Canis Vale, I always hear Vinnie Jones in my head. Pretorius was inspired by Dr. Finkelstein from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Demavala's Shard by The Darkness from Legend. Loxana Tet by Sadako, aka Samara from the Ring franchise. And Gillian de Loncre was mostly inspired by the Frogman. However, believe it or not, his demeanor is based on Jean Reno. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Blue Hats.